Every drug you have ever heard of does one thing. It reaches into your brain and changes a signal that was already running. It does not add a new mind. It hijacks the one you have. Hi, this is Dr. Psyche, where we break down the strange ways your mind works. Today we go through the most common drugs one by one, and for each one you get the same two things: what it does to your brain and what that does to you. Let's begin. Caffeine. All day your brain builds up a molecule called adenosine. It piles up the longer you stay awake, and it presses a single button over and over. Get tired. Slow down. Caffeine is shaped like adenosine, so it slips into the same spots and blocks that button. The tiredness signal cannot land, so you feel awake, sharp, alert. But the tiredness never left. It kept building behind the block. When the caffeine fades, all of it hits at once. That is the crash. Caffeine does not give you energy. It hides the exhaustion, then hands you the bill later. The next one is nicotine. Your brain has a system for focus and calm control, run by a messenger called acetylcholine. Nicotine fits those exact spots and switches them on, so you feel a quick lift of focus and a strange calm at the same time. Then it reaches deeper and taps your reward system, the part that says, "Do that again." The hit arrives in seconds and fades in minutes. That speed is the trap. Your brain learns the loop dozens of times a day and starts to expect it. Soon, the cigarette does not feel good anymore. It only removes the discomfort of not having one. You are no longer chasing a high, you are patching a hole the drug dug. The next one is alcohol. Your brain runs on a balance between two forces. One speeds you up, one slows you down, and it is called GABA, the brake. Alcohol presses the brake hard and cuts the accelerator. That is the loose, warm, talkative feeling. Everything softens. But your brain hates being pushed off balance. So while you drink, it weakens its own brake and revs the accelerator to fight back. The next morning, the alcohol is gone, but those changes remain. No brake, full accelerator. Racing heart, frayed nerves, dread with no reason. That is the hangover in your head. Your brain overcorrecting for the calm you forced on it. So, let's talk about cannabis. Your brain already makes its own calming, bliss-like chemical. It uses it to dull pain, quiet anxiety, and let go of small worries. THC copies that chemical and floods the system far past its normal range. That is why time stretches, food becomes fascinating, and tension melts. But push it too far, and the same system tips the other way, into paranoia and racing thoughts. Use it often, and your brain pulls back its own version to compensate. Now, ordinary calm feels harder to reach without it. The off switch for stress gets quieter when it is always being forced on. The next one is cocaine. Your reward chemical, dopamine, normally fires and then gets cleaned up and recycled. Cocaine blocks the cleanup, so dopamine floods and stays flooded. You feel powerful, confident, unstoppable, wide awake. Then the cleanup catches up and the dopamine crashes below normal. Now you feel empty, flat and anxious, and the fastest way out of that hole is more. The crash after cocaine is not weakness. It is your brain drained of the exact chemical the drug forced it to dump all at once. The next one is the amphetamines and methamphetamine. These go further and worse than cocaine. Cocaine blocks dopamine cleanup. They force your brain to pump dopamine and adrenaline out on command, far beyond anything natural. That is the intense energy, the laser focus, the feeling that you do not need sleep or food. But your brain only holds so much of these chemicals. Burn through the supply and there is nothing left. The comedown is brutal. Exhaustion, low mood, an inability to feel pleasure at all. With heavy use, the reward system itself gets damaged, and everyday life goes grey because the brain has spent what it needed to feel normal. MDMA. This one targets serotonin, the chemical tied to mood, warmth, and connection. MDMA forces your brain to dump almost all of its serotonin at once. That is the flood of love, closeness, and euphoria. But you have now emptied the tank. For days afterward, serotonin runs low, and that is the crash people call the comedown. Sadness, anxiety, emptiness. Not bad luck. Simply your brain running on empty until it slowly refills what the drug forced it to spend. The next one is opioids. Your brain makes its own painkillers, chemicals that block pain and flood you with relief. Opioids copy them, but far stronger. Pain vanishes, worry vanishes, and a deep, warm calm takes over. That is exactly why they are so dangerous. Your brain sees that flood and shuts down its own painkiller supply to compensate. Now, without the drug, everyday pain feels sharper and calm feels impossible. And the same system that controls this relief also controls your breathing. Push it too far and it can slow your breathing until it stops. This is why opioids are among the deadliest drugs there are. So, let's move to the next one. The psychedelics and psilocybin. Most drugs turn a signal up or down. These do something stranger. They scramble the filter. Your brain normally keeps its regions talking in fixed, familiar patterns. Psychedelics loosen those patterns and let regions that never speak suddenly connect. That is why colors breathe, thoughts merge, and the line between you and the world can seem to dissolve. The effect is less about pleasure and more about the brain temporarily losing its usual rules. Sometimes that feels like wonder. Sometimes, if the mind is not ready, it feels like terror. Same mechanism, opposite outcome. Now, the last one is called Benzodiazepines. These are medicines built to press the brake, the GABA system, harder and on purpose. For real panic or seizures, that can be a rescue. But the brake does not know the difference between medicine and any other pressure. Lean on it every day, and your brain weakens its own braking to rebalance. Now you need the drug just to feel steady, and the anxiety you were escaping comes back louder the moment you stop. The calm is real. The problem is the brain always takes it back. So, if you look at them all together, caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, cannabis, cocaine, meth, MDMA, opioids, psychedelics, benzos. Every single one did the same thing. It grabbed a system your brain was already running and pushed it past its limits. And every single time, your brain pushed back to find its balance again. Up by this much, down by that much. Always. That is the one rule under all of it. Your brain does not want a high or a low. It wants balance. And anything that forces it up will drag you down by exactly as much, later, when you are not looking.